everyone. Welcome to another episode of HorrorHouse, everyone's favourite stupid little horror podcast. Hosted by me, Morgan Robinson. Today, for episode 21, we have brand new guest, host of the Deezus Take The Reel podcast. Please welcome DeVaughn Taylor.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
DeVaughn, I'm very excited to talk some horror resurgence, as we put it. So,
for sure. We're friends. Call me Deezus, please.
Deezus, okay, there you go. Horror resurgence, sort of the last couple of years, as most who pay attention to the genre will know, has been pretty strong.
It really has been, and I get tired of people saying horror is dead. When is horror coming back? I'm like, you're just not watching the right movies. That's all there is. Horror's been back. It's here.
Absolutely. Yes. Before we really get into it, I wanted to say again, HorrorHouse is now on iTunes, guys. Finally, and I'm working to get all the previous episodes up on that same sort of iTunes feed as well, but this one obviously will be up there now because you're listening to it. But yes, please subscribe, rate, and review over there. Let's get started. Let's get started well over on iTunes as well as YouTube. So yes, plugs out of the way to start off. Jesus, Let's do the thing that I like to do with every new guest that I have on this main show, and it's ask you straight up, what is your favourite horror film of all time?
It's really tough to peg down, honestly, because like I said, I've always loved horror, but I'm trying to catch up on classic horror. I really didn't get into horror till more modern horror.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to say. I have a few favorites, but it's I've never actually thought what my absolute number one favorite is.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It is a difficult question. It's not a question I can answer personally, which is why I like to ask it, because it throws people straight off right at the start of an episode. So
yeah, and it's hard just because horror is one of those very diverse genres. So it's I have my favorite thriller, I have my favorite body horror, I have
absolutely
so it really is hard to peg one down. But I mean, if I had to choose, oh man,
maybe not one exactly.
The one that I watch the most often, maybe, but it's tough.
Yeah, I mean maybe not one exactly, but say. What's one that just one of the sort of few that you consider to be great in your eyes?
I guess the way I can break it down is, so one, everybody, as far as the slashers go, everybody has their favorite of the main ones, and I'm a big Freddy Krueger fan. Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the very first horror movies I ever watched.
Nice.
So I've always gravitated towards Freddy as far as the slashers, and I will put Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, up there as far as one of my favorites as far as classic horror goes.
Yeah. Awesome.
The Fly was also one of my very first horror movies, and I still absolutely love that movie to this day. I think it is fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
and I guess those would be two of my top favorites as far as those go.
Yeah.
But for the topic of discussion today, I kind of picked my three horror movies that got me back into horror. So I don't know when you want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, we can get into that straight off. Really, I mean those couple of choices that you picked there, they're a great couple of films to start watching horror from. Now you get Nightmare on Elm Street, you get The Fly. You're going into the genre strong there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, those two movies, especially I saw them so young, and that's another funny thing. I think a lot of horror fans do start pretty young, the people that are obsessed with it.
Oh yeah.
So I think that also had a big effect on me. It's because I remember watching those when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, that's it. It's not a nice thing to show young children, really. I think so.
My parents aren't your typical parents. I mean, they're both young and have tattoos and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, that's the best
I
type.
mean, my upbringing was a little bit different than everybody else's.
That's the best type. Show them horror young. Why not?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we're breeding killers here.
Yes. Okay. So horror resurgence. When would you say that this started? This whole trend.
For me personally, for what I think, especially like I said, this late horror resurgence, I always peg it back to the first Conjuring.
Exactly where I go.
The first Conjuring came out in 2013, and that's I think that's kind of where it started, where we started seeing these horror movies made with great directors, with great scripts, with good acting in it.
Yeah,
and it's like, and I think that's something that's always kind of deterred people from horror, is because they kind of sacrifice those elements in certain areas to make up for it in scares and all that kind of stuff. But The Conjuring was one of the first I'd say really started this resurgence of like actually making horror movies seriously. Not that people weren't before, obviously. Like, I just think that something different came along with The Conjuring, and I think people really started to follow suit. And then for me personally, the movie that really started my obsession with horror was whenever I saw It Follows for the first time.
Yes, that's another 2015 It Follows. I really like It Follows. I know some people that really don't. I don't quite understand people that don't really like It Follows. I think it's got an incredible premise. You just don't, the sort of what do you call it? Demonic presence. Not really demonic, but the presence within the film, the shall we say? It's very interesting because it's not like a person, like a straight up slasher killer. It's not, the devil or some sort of incarnation of the devil. It's not an alien. It's just a presence, sort of an aura that just surrounds.
Yeah, and I think it lends itself really well. I mean, obviously, It Follows is very strongly inspired by John Carpenter.
Yes.
And so watching It Follows, one, I noticed, this gorgeous cinematography and this amazing score that it had. And the horror that I especially like now, like I really like very stylish, very slick, like very like almost sexy. Like this is a sexy horror movie if you think about it.
Yeah.
And aside from the premise, but yeah, it had this amazing premise to it, and it kind of goes off of the thing, like you never know who or where this entity is. You have no idea.
Exactly.
And I think that there's so much subtle things in the movie. Like you can literally, there'll be scenes you can look, and if you pay real close attention, you can see like it way in the back. And like they do that throughout the movie, and I think it was just super slick, super clever. I'd never seen a horror movie like it, and I remember walking out of it, and I'm pretty sure I went and saw it like the next day again.
Oh, that's nice. That's what you want. Horror, when horror's rewatchable, that's when you've hit something good. I think. It Follows definitely helped this whole resurgence for me because I'm very open in the opinion that I think horror stopped being good in general for around 8 years between like 2005 and 2012, 2013. Like the trust James Wan with The Conjuring to bring it back to prominence. But from the late 2000s for me, it was such a down time with the genre because you were just getting pointless sequel or reboot after pointless sequel or reboot, and not good quality stuff made for speaking in general, stuff made for just cheap that clearly didn't have a great deal of passion to it. I mean, there are one or two from this era that stick out to me, and that's Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell from 2009. And The Orphanage, the Mexican film.
I think you're totally right. I think the late 90s and early 2000s were like the lowest point that we've had for horror. I mean, and there's still here and there. There's some good horror. Somebody challenged me that like in the past decade, name me at least 10 good horror movies. I was like, well, shoot, the past 5 years I can name a ton. But if you go before that, though, that's when it starts getting difficult.
It does.
And,
it's a shame.
I think it really is, and I think it's more of people have this assumption with mainstream horror, because I mean, when you think about it, indie horror has still been putting out good movies always, but it's like, and this Resurgent is kind of been a marriage between the two. You have these still very independent, low budget films that are having mainstream success, though, and I think that's what's really brought horror back the past couple of years, is marrying the two of it's still being able to be mainstream and consumed by a wide audience, but at the same time, like, it still keeps that small independent feel to it and the passion. Like you said, you have to find a director with the passion for it, for sure.
Absolutely, and that's why you see these indie, originally indie horror directors getting more recognition these days, because they're being put on these projects, or they are creating these projects themselves that the distributors are putting faith in and getting people to know about them, and it's just working. You look at something like Don't Breathe from last year, Fede Alvarez coming off the Evil Dead remake, which for me it's a decent film. It's not Evil Dead, but it's a decent film. But you put him, people knew he would be something pretty decent coming off that, but you put him on Don't Breathe from last year, and Don't Breathe hit very, very hard last summer, especially.
Don't Breathe is my number 3 movie of the year of last year.
Yeah, I mean,
and with it, I was talking about this with somebody the other day. Is kind of what you said. You have these young directors. I think horror is the best place for starting directors to cut their teeth, because
absolutely,
they give them a small budget, and then they give them all the power, though. They give them all the creative freedom. You have the most range to make something highly original. It's like most horror movies are very original. That's why you're seeing the least amounts of reboots and remakes and stuff. I mean, they still exist, obviously, but horror is such a great place to really cut your teeth in directing, and then they eventually go on to bigger and better things. Scott Derrickson directed Sinister, and then goes on to do Doctor Strange.
Absolutely. I mean, you could even go as, if you want to stick with Marvel films, you could even go as back as James Gunn doing Slither, who is now on. Slither's a wildly gory body horror fun fest of a film.
It's super fun. He also wrote Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, and what he's doing now? He's doing the very fun Guardians films for Marvel. Horror is a fantastic starting point, and this is in a way, not in a way. This is why the fact that horrors tend to be cheaper to make than most other genres of films. This is why it benefits the smaller, younger, upcoming director, because they're forced to be more creative with what they're given, and it can bring out a real creative genius in someone that we then see with the likes of James Gunn, Scott Derrickson, Fede Alvarez, people like that have done and just risen till now. A lot of people know their names, and they, obviously originated with horror.
Yeah, for sure. And to go back to, I'm not going to get stuck on it, but I actually like the Fede Alvarez's Evil Dead better than the original.
Ooh, now we could have an argument about that. We could have a great argument
I think the original, they didn't nail down the tone until the second one. The second one's where they really nailed down the horror comedy element.
Yes.
And I wanted the first Evil Dead to be straight horror, and that's what Fede Alvarez gave me. He gave it.
True.
It's very brutal. It's very bloody. I absolutely loved it.
No, I mean, I can't argue with that, because I do like, 2013's Evil Dead. It will never be the original 2 and Army of Darkness, or the series.
Don't worry. I know I'm in the minority here, but
Well, it's not necessarily a bad minority to be in. And I do agree, Evil Dead 2 is better than the original. I do agree with that. But yeah, we getting off that before I start to go insane.
Yeah, before we
Evil
go
Dead
to fisticuffs here.
Yes, because we don't want to be doing that. I mean, look, it was last year for me, 2016. Before then, it was like we said, it definitely started with the first Conjuring, 2013, but last year, 2016, just seemed like so strong for horror, from mainstream
really
to the
is.
smallest indie, right up to the most mainstream Conjuring 2, which also was great.
Oh yeah, like I keep telling people, I'm like, 2016 is like one of the strongest years for horrors, not only of the past decade or so, but I mean, I think in general, like you said, I mean, we had small horrors, we had in between, we had surprises like Ouija 2 came out of nowhere, and everybody thought it was going to be shit, and that was awesome.
Nobody
the mainstream ones, I mean. And it started early too, because like The Witch came out in early February, so it's
exactly.
like we're also not used to like getting these good of movies like early in the year, and especially like now we had Split and Get Out are pretty early in the year, and those are both fantastic.
Again, like you said, 2017 is off to a great start in horror with Split and Get Out, and talking about The Witch from last year. Everybody who listens to this knows my adoration for The Witch. I love The Witch, and I remember when it first came out, and I hadn't looked that much into it. I hadn't seen a trailer, but the people I trust when it comes to horror had said, The Witch, yeah, this is something to look out for. Go and see The Witch. I'm like, okay, I'll go see The Witch, because before this, really, we were getting one, maybe two very good horrors a year. You say It Follows and things like that was before then. Say, okay, I'll go and see The Witch. I came out of The Witch going, oh my god, that might be the best, that might be my favourite horror film of the 21st century. And I stand by, it is, for me, one of maybe my personal top 3 horrors of the 21st century. And I know that's a big thing to say with stuff that we had earlier on, like the first Saw or 28 Days Later or things like that. But yeah, I really loved The Witch. I think my love of The Witch probably helped this show. It helped me start this show, because I just felt like I needed to speak about The Witch to people.
Yeah, The Witch, like, I mean, it caught everybody off guard, and I think The Witch was, it's so great, 'cause it's like, I mean, it's barely a horror film if you really think about it. I mean, yeah, it is a horror, and it's a very suspenseful one. It's a very slow burn, and I'm not as big on slow burn horror movies, and I'm very picky with slow burn horror movies, because it's like the payoff has to be worth it.
Yeah.
And I did really like The Witch. I can't say I loved it. I need to revisit it though. I haven't watched it again since the theater, and maybe the rewatch will help out. But I really did like it. It's just like the third act is so great, and I wanted more of it. Like that's my biggest thing with it. Like that third act was so great, and I wanted more of that.
I mean, no, I get that. That makes sense. I was just really fascinated by I'm a big fan of family breakdown in horror. It's the reason I love the original Omen from 1976, because you see a family breakdown. And it's the reason I love The Witch. The mother, played by Kate Dickie, is phenomenal. I really love her performance in The Witch.
I mean, the acting in it is top notch. I think another big thing on why I didn't love it is I missed a good amount of the dialogue. Because, I mean, it is, the accents are very heavy and all that kind of stuff. So I think I did miss pieces of the dialogue. So maybe, like I said, going back will help me out in that. But, I mean, between the cinematography and everything, and I love movies about isolation. That's what really stands out to me about The Witch is they're isolated away from all these people, and and you don't know why, and which I love that as well. And they, and that's where I like to see this cabin fever. Not like like the movie, but I mean the term cabin fever of them. Just
not Eli Roth's cabin fever.
And it drove them crazy. It's almost like the Shining effect,
Yeah, very similar, really. Again, The Shining, at its core, family breakdown in isolation. Yeah, I get that about the accents though, because their accents are quite more similar to mine than yours. For example, I know that some people did have some sort of problems. I don't know whether it was understanding or, well, I guess because I didn't have these. What was it about the accents that made you miss things? Was it the dialogue or the accents? Because it was obviously in old English dialogue as well. I think a little bit of
both, because I mean the dialogue is very wordy in the movie too, and I don't always have this problem with watching either foreign language movies or movies with people with very thick accents. Like, it usually doesn't bother me unless it is a problem.
Yeah.
And for me, it's mainly with the dad too, because the dad has that real gravelly voice too, on top of the accent, on top of having these really lengthy monologues. So I think it was just the combination of that. 'Cause it's mainly the dad that I have trouble understanding sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's completely fair enough. I mean, it makes sense, but it of course gave us Anya Taylor-Joy.
I love her so much.
I love her.
She is fantastic.
I mean, I have high hopes for Anya Taylor-Joy, especially coming after Split as well.
Oh yeah, and even Morgan, I didn't love Morgan, but again, she's easily the best part of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
she's talented, but and not bad to look at either. I mean,
I can agree there. She's very attractive.
It's one of the best Instagram follows I've had in a while.
Yes. Oh, I feel you're right there. That is perfect. Yes, but as well, her in Split with, playing off such an incredible performance as James McAvoy gave.
Oh, man.
In that, she sort of feels up to it. She feels on par with it. Maybe not on par, because McAvoy had to do, 47 different characters in the same thing.
Right.
But
no, I totally agree. Like, she's very fearless for being a young actress and going up against that. And people had a problem with her character in Split because they didn't understand everything.
Yeah.
Because too many people were like, "How does she know all this stuff?" I'm like, "Are you not putting two and two together?
Watch
with the flashbacks."
Yeah. Watch the film.
But she's fantastic. She has another really big project coming up. I can't remember what it is, but
I'll have a look. Actually, I'll have a look right now. What that is, but yes.
And I was on the Pitch a Movie podcast a couple weeks ago, and we pitched a movie together, and we ended up pitching a horror comedy, and Anya Taylor-Joy was one of the main leads in it.
Well, I mean, awesome. I mean, put Anya Taylor-Joy in anything remotely horror, and I will be. She's got a movie called Thoroughbred coming out. That also stars Anton Yelchin, the late Anton Yelchin.
Oh, that's gonna kill me.
And Olivia Cook, who some listeners will know as my new best friend, because I met her at the Manchester Film Festival a couple of weeks ago. That was awesome. There wasn't any horror there, but
I love Olivia Cook. I'm a big Bates Motel fan.
Oh yeah, I mean she's from Manchester, like myself, so that's why she was there. So that's awesome. And nobody seemed to realise she was from Manchester as well, which I
she covers her accent really well.
Which I kind of like.
I wouldn't have guessed it at all.
Yeah, she sounds like me. She has the same accent as me, but obviously a female. I don't know. Yes, Anya Taylor-Joy also has a film called Marrowbone coming up, which is a 4 children hideout in a mysterious farm. It's a drama thriller. Anyway, there's 2 things: Thoroughbred and Marrowbone coming up apparently this year, with Anya Taylor-Joy, and I fully expect her to deliver because she has so far. So why wouldn't she continue?
Yeah, that's so true.
She will. She's the next Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm going to say this now. She's the next.
For as
horror.
long as her track record is this early, I wouldn't put it past her at all.
Yeah, I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in her. Not that I should be, the guy to say. I'm hardly, a casting director. I'm hardly someone who can pick someone out of a crowd and go, you're fantastic. But
are any of us? We're just a bunch of movie nerds. That,
exactly.
Literally, this is what we do.
We
come up with our own theories and whatnot.
Yeah, we talk about movies for fun on the internet, and we really don't have any say in what happens, and really we shouldn't be listened to. But hey, nobody complains about being listened to.
We have almost negative credibility.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely zero. Please do not take anything we say into consideration when doing anything of any sort of note. Moving on from playing ourselves down and losing listeners. Was there anything else you wanted to really mention?
Nothing in specific. Like I said, I think it's to get people to this horror resurgence is, like I said, it's really just pointing them in the direction of the right movies. It's like I get frustrated just hearing all these things. Obviously all the things we've been talking about the past 2 years. It's like, so it really frustrates me when I hear like horror is dead, like blah blah blah. It's like no, like you're dead.
Yeah, I remember you saying when we were sorting this recording out that this sort of resurgence is really what got you sort of obsessed with the genre, to quote unquote obsessed.
Yeah,
but why is that compared
being
to
a creator and all? I've been starting the idea of writing scripts and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like every idea that I have, I always want to do horror because what I've really realized, like I said, this past couple of years, I'm like watching this modern horror is like really realizing the different kind of storytelling that you can do in horror that you can't do in almost any other genre.
Oh yeah, there's a lot,
and I really appreciate that. And there's a couple other. I mentioned I had a couple other movies that stood out to me that I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
One of them is it's a little movie called Starry Eyes. Have you heard of it?
I have not actually. Please tell me about that.
Starry Eyes it's a movie I've been obsessed with lately. Like I just watched this movie about 6 months ago, but I think in the past 6 months I've watched it at least 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
And pretty much it's what Neon Demon wanted to be.
Okay.
Didn't do.
Okay.
Starry Eyes is you have this actress named Sarah, and she lives out in LA, and she's doing the standard waitress actor thing, and she's trying to make things work. And she's like at a very degrading restaurant that she works at, and all of her friends are getting different parts and having projects going on, and she still like isn't getting parts or anything like that.
Yeah.
And she's super hard on herself, and she goes to this audition. It doesn't go well, and she like goes in the bathroom and she's like pulling her hair out and like punching herself. Mm-hmm. And then the casting director comes back in and goes, "Oh, come and show us that." So you see, she has this really weird audition, and call back with these casting directors that are super creepy.
Yeah.
And then it spirals into this cult movie. Basically, this the film company she was auditioning for, they are a cult, and the main guy called the producer is like, if you want to be famous, you need to give in, and her body starts falling apart, and then they pretty much tell her, hey, you have to go kill all your friends if you want to be famous.
Okay.
And this movie, it has super great practical effects. It has really good music in it. It has it has no bright stars in it. You've probably never heard of the directors or anything.
Yeah.
But like I said, it took the concept that Neon Demon was trying to do as far as vanity and being obsessed with fame.
Yeah.
And they did it so well. And I keep coming back to this movie because I really admire that it is a horror movie, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it always.
Yeah.
And it's so hypnotic to watch. It's a very enjoyable watch. And like I said, the main actress, Sarah, is absolutely fantastic in this movie. And like I said, it's just kind of one of these movies that I watch it and I can't stop thinking about it, and I watch it a lot more. Or if somebody needs a good horror suggestion, I throw it out. It's on Netflix currently.
Awesome.
So that's one, and then Sinister. I mentioned Sinister earlier, and I have very fond memories of this movie because me and my roommate, we would watch movies.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we'd have girls over. This is my freshman year of college when this movie came out.
Yeah.
And when we'd have girls over, we would always show them this movie, because we've seen it a million times, and I love the movie.
Yeah.
But we had this thing that we would pre-watch horror movies before we had girls over, so that way we knew when all the scary parts were.
Oh, that's genius.
That's
genius.
But Sinister was one of our go-to movies for the longest time. We would watch it together. We'd watch it when we had people over. If we had movie nights, we'd throw it on. I can't tell you how many times we watched Sinister that year. Whenever it came out. And I still love it. I refuse to watch the sequel because it didn't need it, so I don't watch it. But yeah, I absolutely loved Sinister so much.
Oh yeah, Sinister's a good movie. It's got some decent scares in there as well. So
and that's another thing. Like I said, when you get these horror movies with good writing and good actors. I mean, you got Ethan Hawke in there.
Yeah.
Academy Award nominated Ethan Hawke still doing horror movies.
Yeah.
So it's that's fantastic when you can get that high caliber of actor to bring that gravitas to your movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because, you look at some of these recent horrors, and it's either pretty big name actors like that, or you've got Vera Farmiga,
Wilson in the Conjuring movies,
yes,
and Vera Farmiga, and then
yeah, they're big names, or it goes completely the other way, and you cast absolute unknowns who, somehow out of nowhere give great performances, and there's no middle ground. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground. There's not oh yeah, I recognise him or I recognise her from that one thing I've seen previously, and then they give a great performance. It's oh my god, Patrick Wilson, yes, of course he's going to give a good performance, or like I said, it goes the other way, where it's who's this? Wait a minute, they're pretty good in this. Who are they? Google them. And then what else have they been in? And then that opens up.
Yeah, and like I said, that's what stands out to me about Starry Eyes. It has no big names, no nothing in it.
Yeah.
It's made for next to nothing. It was a Kickstarter movie too.
Right.
And it has these phenomenal, special effects to it. So it's you never know what you're going to get with horror, and that's what I love as well. You're always discovering something new with horror.
Absolutely. That's why I love this genre, because, especially when you start getting into it, and you just because I presume most people starting off with horror, they go with slasher first, because it tends to be the most entertaining. The first horror film I ever loved was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. But then, obviously, having then gone through the slashers, You go to older stuff. You go to classic monsters. You go to gothic. You go to psychological. You go to body horror. You go to all the subgenres. There's so many goddamn subgenres. You will never find them all. You will never search them all because there's too many of them.
Yeah, but that's what's great, though.
That is what's great about it.
No matter what mood you are in for horror, like, because, like, that's how I am. I'll watch a movie, I'm like, you know what, I kind of feel like watching something really violent.
Yeah.
And I'll find something, a very brutal horror movie.
Yeah.
Or it's like, horror comedy is a big one for people as well.
Exactly.
Especially if you have a horror comedy that can, like, really hit that sweet spot, horror comedy is a big genre for people as well.
Exactly. Horror works for every occasion. If you're interested in horror comedy, anyone go and listen to episode 18 on horror comedies. Another shameless plug for another episode there.
And you know what? I just realized that I could have answered your question from the game, my favorite all-time horror movie, because like you said, it's in the subgenres, but still, it still falls in the horror category.
Oh, yeah.
It's American Psycho. That's my second favorite movie of all time.
A
And,
great
I think
choice.
It would definitely fall into that satirical horror genre.
Yes, definitely. It is. I mean, it's doesn't tend to be classed as straight up horror. But it's got some disturbing goddamn stuff in there.
Mm-hmm. It's very dark, and I don't know why I blanked on that, because I was literally just talking about this movie like while recording an episode last night. So it's like I don't know why that even blinked in my head for some reason.
Oh, well, I mean, it is perfectly dark and creepy and twisted enough, and violent. It's got the violence in there as well.
And twisted, but it's also like really funny. It has some of the. It's such a quotable movie. Like it's a very,
ridiculous. very quotable movie. And of course,
I couldn't tell you how many times I tell people like I gotta return some videotapes whenever I can't come up with a good excuse. Like I say that so much. Like I gotta go return some videotapes.
Do you ever put Huey Lewis in the News on and just dance around in a raincoat?
Oh, I love Huey Lewis in the News. I love Phil Collins. Like, it has such a great soundtrack.
It does. It really does.
American Psycho is one of those movies it's kind of my litmus test for my friends, because I'm like, okay, if you can watch this movie with me, then one, that kind of sets you up for all the other movies I'm going to show you.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like,
that just get even more
understand
twisted.
how I am as a person. Like, if you want, because I have an American Psycho tattoo on me. I love this movie.
What's your tattoo? I wanna know what this is.
Here. Well, I mean, the fans can't see, but I can show you really quick. I have a bloody axe on my arm. Here,
very nice.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And you talk about getting high-profile actors in horror movies. Christian Bale. Yeah,
Christian Bale. Even at that time,
that was when he was like just starting to become big. But I mean, still though, he was a recognizable face, and that cast in general has young Reese Witherspoon in there.
Yes.
Got Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Josh Lucas.
Yeah. I need to rewatch American Psycho, because it has been a long time since I've rewatched it, but
it holds up so well too.
It is a great film, and of course, it does not answer many questions either.
No, it answers like 0 questions,
and asks 74 questions and answers none of them. But that's kind of what's great about it.
Oh yeah, like I don't always love a movie where I'm left with more questions than answers, but that's one of the rare examples. I'm glad that it's so ambiguous.
Oh yeah, it works perfectly with the movie as a whole. That is a great choice, by the way. We've not had that choice before. I honestly don't think the amount of different guests we've had on this show, I can't recall there ever being any two guests that have said the same answer when I've asked that question.
Oh wow!
So
exactly, like I said, it shows that diversity. You should make like an archive of it,
I should really
of every guest's favorite movie. Like keep a list somewhere.
I should. I'm surprised I haven't done that yet. But yes, back onto Starry Eyes. I'm surprised I haven't actually heard of that, because I was yesterday. Just yesterday, I was clamoring for we need more vanity-based, more good vanity-based horror because it works so well, you know, with today's culture.
It really does, and you know, Starry Eyes, it's also like, you know, you see these characters, and it's like they make fun of LA a lot as well, which is another thing I love considering I'm moving there. It's like I love when people like take shots at like, you know, how life is out in LA, because like all of our friends, the only things they ever talk about is like what projects they're working on, and who's getting casted in what, and then there's drama because one person offered a role to someone else, and it fuels her to be like, okay, maybe I should kill all my friends, and it's super crazy. I don't know if it's on Netflix UK, but it is on the American one. So if you know how to finagle your way around that,
I will certainly have a look for it and check it out. Should I be able to? Because that sounds great. And you compared it to the Neon Demon, which I thought was good. I enjoyed the Neon Demon. I thought it got almost a little too weird in the end. I don't think that needed to happen. But
I the first time I watched Neon Demon, it was my most anticipated movie of 2016.
Right.
So like the first time I saw it, my hype was through the freaking roof, and I couldn't contain myself. And I think that deterred my enjoyment. But then upon rewatch, you appreciate it a bit more every time you rewatch it. But I still don't think it hit all the notes that it could have. And then so whenever I watched Starry Eyes, I was like, this is what the Neon Demon should have been like. And Starry Eyes came out before the Neon Demon too.
Right. Okay.
This movie is it's from 2014.
Ah, okay. Well, everyone, go and check that one out if you haven't, because I certainly will. Again, I can't help myself. I want to bring up another one from last year. Did you see Train to Busan?
It's on my list. I have not watched it yet. I'm just now like really starting to try and branch. One of my goals for 2017 is to watch more foreign films because I don't really watch a whole lot of foreign film.
Yeah.
And but I'm getting there. I just speaking of horror, I just watched. I saw The Devil for the first time the other day.
Nice.
And after watching that, I was like, okay, South Korea knows what they're doing with horror. So then I went on to Old Boy and Train to Busan's next.
Yes, definitely worth a watch. I mean, I don't know how sort of into zombies you are, but it's a good one.
I hear that they do a very different spin on zombies, and I like that. Like, I love iZombie. I watch that show a lot. Yeah. And they do a very unique version of zombies, so it's like if they do something different with the zombies, then I'm in. But if it's just gonna be the same, you know, Romero type zombies, then I'm not about it.
It certainly is different, and it has surprisingly. Most people who listen to this probably know this, but I first saw this at a festival back in October of last year. Like an 11:30 p.m. screening, really late, packed cinema screening. But I was captivated by Train to Busan, and you know, it's one of those that you almost forget it's in a different language, because I don't know if you've ever necessarily had that, but I certainly have with some, not just foreign horrors, but foreign films in general. You sort of...
Oh, no, that's how it was whenever I saw The Devil, because I understand a little French, so I don't have to study the subtitles as much, so I do watch French films, but I'm starting to branch out.
Yeah, I mean, it's well worth doing. Train to Busan, if I'll do you a deal. I watch Starry Eyes, you watch Train to Busan, and then we tell each other.
Yes, yeah? I will do that. Accept that deal 100%.
Awesome. Because, Train to Busan does have... it's not just a fun, action-packed zombie film. It has a very, very heartfelt story to it as well.
That's what I heard. The Collider Nightmares panel absolutely loves that movie.
They certainly do. And I can't wait for Collider Nightmares to come back.
I'm so sad that they're going to once a month.
Look, complete let's go off on a complete tangent. I was just so thankful it didn't get cancelled that I'm kind of looking forward to a extra special monthly treat of Collider Nightmares.
Yeah, I mean, I think bi-weekly would have served it very well, because I think if they did bi-weekly, then it could have been like, you know, they still give us a little bit more, but at the same time, it's not every week. Because, I mean, I do see the fatigue. They kind of, you know, some weeks they were kind of scraping the barrel for news stories and stuff, you know. But at the same time, like, I mean, and that's another show that, I mean, really helped foster my love for, you know, horror movies.
Yeah.
Hearing all their suggestions and stuff, and, you know, checking movies out, having conversations with, you know, because, I mean, me and Clark tweet back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
I love talking to her about horror movies and Perry.
They're all awesome.
It was, you know, yeah, I love Nightmares.
You know, especially watching Nightmares last year was just, and with horror being so strong last year, it was just a delight to watch every week. And like you said, the entire panel are wonderful, wonderful people. And they know perfectly well that I want them on this show at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Whether that can happen or not.
Me and Perry have even, like, talked about, because me and her both have an obsession with the Final Destination movies.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, I'm like, oh, we need to record something. And same with Clark. Like, Clark knows, like, I've been itching to get her on the show.
Yeah. We can keep trying.
Always. That's all you can do.
It is. That really is. Oh man. Yeah. Let's talk about Get Out for a bit of a final little thing here, because that's sort of the latest big horror film to take the world by storm. Rightly so, because it's exceptional.
I think Get Out's gonna do wonders for, you know, especially, like I said, this horror resurgence. You know, Get Out, it's crushing at the box office. It's poised to be like one of the highest grossing horror movies of all time. That would be absolutely awesome, and I mean, it rightfully deserves it. Like, I mean,
certainly
I remember from the first time I saw the trailer that people didn't know what to think about it, and I was like, oh, I am so in. I mean, and being a black man myself, like, I watched the whole movie just sitting there going, I've been in all these situations before, especially the barbecue scene. I think the barbecue scene is one of the best scenes, and that doesn't even have any horror in it. It's just great.
Yeah, I mean,
but I love the idea of these social horrors that Jordan Peele's been talking about, because, you know, what's more scary than, you know, human beings?
Absolutely, that's why I love 70s horror, because that's very human beings are evil based, and Get Out is exactly that. As long as Jordan Peele keeps doing these, I will watch and love them all, I'm sure, because Get Out was outstanding. Sorry for that awkward cut there that you probably noticeably heard, listeners. But some sound issues that are sadly not uncommon. But we will pull through, and we were talking about Get Out, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking about Get Out, and I was saying that I wish it was a little bit scarier, or it had some more, some kind of shock value to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working on a segment for my YouTube channel right now, and it's where I, you know, change something about a movie to make it better.
Yeah.
And the first episode I did was on Get Out. I don't know if I'm allowed to get into spoilers here for a sec.
Well, let's make it perfectly clear to everyone. We will be talking spoilers of Get Out now, so please mute until... Well, not mute exactly, because that's not going to make any sense. Come back in about a minute, and
I'll make it real quick.
We'll be done. Okay.
Okay, so for real quick, the thing that I would change is, because, you know, we get to the reveal at the end of the movie, and it turns out that they're doing this weird mind swapping thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was real creepy, and it was like, oh shit. Now think about this. My theory is, so the whole movie, Rod keeps saying that it's gonna be sex slaves. He's like, they're turning them into sex slaves. They're turning them into sex slaves. It keeps saying it throughout the movie. Now, in the third act, if during that reveal, what if Chris would have like went into a room or something, and there's just this freaky, scary, like sex slave orgy going on with these white people and these kidnapped black people, and like the kidnapped black people are like hooked up to stuff, and they're just like, and they're totally not enjoying it, and it's just like, think about how unnerving that would have been. It's just like that their bodies are getting taken advantage of, and then at the end of the movie, when Rod picks Chris up, and he's like, so what happened? And Chris goes, sex slaves. And then Rod loses his shit at the end of the movie because he's like, I told you it was sex slaves. I think that would have just been the icing on the cake for the movie. It would have added a little bit more horror to it, I think.
That would have been... Oh my god. I'm disturbed just thinking about that.
Like, think of... They could do... Because the whole movie, you don't really get to see any graphic stuff either. So it would have also been very shocking for all of a sudden to have this just crazy batshit scene out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
But that'll be the last thing I say about spoiler-wise.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm now trying to get that image out of my head, and it's not easy. Thank you very much for that. I love it. I love it. Okay, so as we maybe start to wrap things up for this very fun episode of Horror House, is there any horrors for the rest of this year that really stand out to you on your anticipation list?
As far as my anticipation, the only one that is really sticking out to me is the A24 movie that's coming out, the one with the dog poster with Joel Edgerton.
Ah, yes. What's it? It
comes at night.
It comes at night, yeah.
Just because I love, it's so mysterious. We don't know what the hell is going on. I love Joel Edgerton in movies, so as of now, that's like my next most anticipated that I can think of off the top of my head, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's one that's definitely on my radar. A24, you know.
A24 knocks it out of the park every time. I mean, The Witch, does. Obviously.
Certainly does. So, yeah. Especially after The Witch, anything I see A24 and I'm like, yes, I'm in. So, it comes at night. I'm certainly looking forward to that. Okay. This was a very fun, nice and casual episode of Horror House that follows on from the madness that was the epic Scooby-Doo two-parter of the last two episodes.
I'm still listening to that one because I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan. I grew up on Scooby-Doo.
Oh yes.
Maybe that's another reason I love horror movies, because I mean I watched so much Scooby-Doo growing up.
Exactly. I mean that's what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about in part one. I think Scooby-Doo is a big influence on why I love this goddamn genre. But yes, so go and listen to part one and part two of that if you haven't already, of course. Deezus, any plugs that you want?
Yeah, of course. You can always follow me on Twitter. My personal account is Deezus12, but of course, follow my podcast, Deezus Take The Reel, at Deezus TT Reel on Twitter. We talk movies, we talk life. It's kind of a late night talk show movie podcast of sorts. I don't know. It's really weird, but it's a whole lot of fun, and I will definitely have to get you on here pretty soon.
Yes, I would very much like to be on there. You know, anything that I can do to support anyone else that supports me and the other way around. It just works.
Yeah,
it just
course.
works
we gotta
nicely.
Look out for each other on here.
Exactly. Yes, thank you so much. As always, guys, please, if you're listening on YouTube, give this video a like, comment some of your thoughts on what we talked about in this episode. Do you think horror is dead? Because hopefully you shouldn't. What horrors are you looking out for in the next year, couple of years or so? Sub to the channel, of course, or if you're listening on iTunes, as we are now on there, please subscribe, rate and review over there. I really want to get going strong on that. That's the priority. So Yes, and of course, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at HorrorHousePod. Follow me at the Purple Don. Hashtag HorrorHousePod if you want to talk on Twitter about all this crazy stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Deezus, thanks again so much for coming on and talking about this. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, not a problem. Like I said, I'm obsessed currently, so
Yeah.
anytime I can talk more horror, I'm there.
The obsession is strong with us all. Guys, as always, thanks for listening, and until next time, goodbye.